Il y a 4 ans, j'ai fait le rêve d'aller sur Mars. Nous y voilà les enfants. Demain, nous nous posons sur Mars. Mais nous ne serons pas les premiers.
Welcome to my channel, and today we are going to recapping the first 2 episodes of the missions after a devastating event in which the Soviet spacecraft, So-1 with cosmonaut Vladimir Karov on board, tragically crashed upon returning to Earth following their mission several years later. Preparations are now underway for an expedition to Mars. The leader of this mission is the Swedish billionaire Meyer, and after a journey of 10 months, the crew of the spaceship Ulysses finally arrives at the Red Planet. The captain Martin Knack informs the team that they have been granted permission to land and asks the ship's AI Irene to confirm all the essential conditions for a secure landing. Meyer discloses that he dedicated a significant amount of time, 4 years to be exact. In order to prepare for this expedition, he made considerable sacrifices, including using up almost all of his financial resources. However, their plans were thwarted when the American company Zillion successfully reached Mars 2 weeks prior. The alarming issue is that there has been no communication from the American crew, except for a solitary video message in which they explicitly request that no one else comes to Mars. This situation sparks a heated debate among the crew members, but the captain firmly asserts that the landing will proceed as planned. Consequently, the crew disperses to their respective cabins with only 30 minutes remaining until the scheduled landing. At this critical juncture, a crew member named Irene takes charge and begins the necessary preparations. In an unexpected turn of events, a situation arises where the ship fails to detach from the carrier system, putting the entire crew in threat. The gravity of the situation necessitates a manual separation as the only viable solution. With great courage, the captain embarks on a perilous journey into space, battling against the stubborn attachments in an attempt to free the ship. However, just as the commander is engrossed in this critical task, the shuttle unexpectedly enters Mars's atmosphere, abruptly ejecting the captain into the vastness of open space. The shuttle's journey to Mars takes an unexpected twist when a system error triggers a power outage, bringing the spacecraft perilously close to crashing onto the red planet's surface. With their lives hanging in the balance, the astronauts are left with no choice but to rely on their own skills and expertise to manually navigate the shuttle for a safe landing. As the tension mounts the AI system, Irene enters sleep mode, leaving the crew to face the daunting task alone. Against all odds, the astronauts successfully touch down on Ma, a remarkable achievement in itself. However, their triumph is short-lived, as they soon realize that their fuel reserves have been completely depleted. And to make matters worse, Irene fails to restart. With no onboard computer or life support system to rely on, the crew finds themselves in a race against time, with only a single day to find a way to survive the harsh and unforgiving Martian environment. As Alessandra grieves for her late spouse, a figure in a spacesuit catches her eye through the window. Upon inspection of the ship, it is discovered that an excessive amount of fuel was used during landing, leaving the ship unable to return to orbit. The only solution is to wait for the solar panels to recharge the generators, but a storm on the surface threatens to delay the process for 2 days, which they cannot afford. Simon Gatt, second in command, suggests seeking out the American ship Zeta 1, which arrived 2 weeks prior and may have crashed, but could potentially have usable batteries as the rover embarks on its expedition. The crew members left to board the ship diligently attempt to restore the system's functionality. Engineer Basil in particular recollects the presence of an energy-saving feature within the AI. In an effort to rectify the situation, he initiates a reboot. But unfortunately, Irene fails to commence operation at this juncture. Meanwhile, the rover stumbles upon the remnants of the American spacecraft, accompanied by a solitary functioning solar panel. Yet there is an absence of any trace indicating the presence of the American crew. Consequently, the astronauts decide to retrace their steps, only to unexpectedly encounter an unconscious individual. Donning a spacesuit, despite the dwindling oxygen levels on their ship, Jane remains determined to transport the nearby individual. Eventually, they come across the black box from the American spacecraft. Upon arriving at the ship, Jan initially refuses to allow them entry, arguing that it's better to have 4 survivors than 8 corpses. However, when the discovered astronaut awakens, Alessandra attempts to persuade Jan to let them in. At that moment, the AI Irene activates and opens the doors upon further investigation. They discover that the astronaut is actually Vladimir Komarov, a Soviet cosmonaut who was born in Moscow in 1927 and was carrying out orders from the USSR government. He has no knowledge of the American crew. Kumarov's presence on Mars remains a mystery to the crew of the Elsi spaceship. He confidently responds to questions that align with his era, leading to suspicions of post-traumatic stress disorder. The astronauts reach out to Earth only to receive a response from the American corporation, Zalian denying any Russian involvement in their mission. As they grapple with this puzzling revelation, they are left wondering, how could Komarov, who died in 1967, end up on Mars after all these years?